First off, I just want to say this is going off really good. I sent out the tweet that says Dom Fisher and I are love talking about No Hard Feelings, Indiana Jones, and Kraven the Hunter trailers. So that's exciting for our first episode here. But welcome to the first episode of, well, we just acquired a name moments before we got on the air. We're going to call it the the Popcorn People Podcast. Obviously, for those of you out there, lovers of film, Dom and I are going to be joining us each and every week to talk about film. So Dom and I are part of the Music City Film Critic Association. That's how we both initially met. We are both members of Critics' Choice at the same time. We often sit inside theaters before screenings and then after screenings for hours upon hours, dissecting and talking about all the films that we watched, what we just watched. We always get in a little bubble in the parking lot, and I swear there's just times where he and I just talk and we just lose track of time. So we're like, why not come together weekly on Sundays here at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, to break down the latest in the world of film. Like I said, my co-host here, Dom Fisher. How are you? Introduce the world to who you are.
I'm good. I'm Dom Fisher. I really, I don't know what my titles are anymore. It don't really matter. If it's a movie that's big, if it's a movie that's great, if it's a movie that's bad, I'm gonna review it to the best of my ability. And over the past couple of years of doing this, especially after talking to Ricky a couple of times, he's like, "Man, you're a little too nice," and I'm like, you know what? I am too nice sometimes. So I have changed up my formula just a tad. I'm still trying to keep it as positive as possible, but I have to let you know. I wouldn't be credible if I didn't let you know like what things are not great. Just like when we all talked about the terrible CGI in the Flash, it is what it is. Sorry.
Exactly. So the goal, if you did not hear him, the goal is for me to break him out of that shell and just start bad mouthing every. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, we do. We love talking about film, and we've the two films that we're talking about this week. We'll talk about here in a little bit, and then of course, what we're going to do each week, we're going to break it down to just like this. We've got trailer of the week, news of the week, movie reviews, watch recommendation, which I think might be already my favorite segment, just because I feel like I'm going to try to dig deep into the well or try to find something that people might not know that is rocking and rolling right now. I'm excited about that. And then, of course, we'll end the show. We're not going to take too much of your time. We're just going to have some fun talking about film. And obviously, we're going to kick it off with our first segment, which is going to be the trailer of the week. All right, so the biggest news of the week, obviously, was the release of the Kraven trailer. I do believe, if I read correctly on Twitter, it was leaked apparently first, which then, of course, forced Sony's hand, I think, to actually release it out to the masses. And Dom, I'm going to let you kick it off. What were your initial thoughts when you watched this Kraven trailer?
I mean, well, for one, it's very weird to me that whether it's DC or Marvel, we keep recycling the same actors in different movies, which is, I mean, it's cool if they're great, but it's like, I know that there's other talent that could be utilized in some of these roles. But initially, it's not a film that jumps out that says, I got to see this. Like, initially, it seems kind of interesting, but for the average comic book fan, or even just the ones that watched the cartoon growing up, Kraven, we know that he's a hunter, but we see him as a villain. Everybody can't be an anti-hero. I don't want to see him like, oh, I feel bad for him and we're gonna see what he does, and then eventually he goes after maybe Spider-Man. We don't know how these things work out. But we saw how Morbius played out. They tried to do this anti-hero thing and the movie didn't do great. You have to lean in. Like, sometimes people do root for the villain. You can make a villain movie. People like Thanos, and he wiped half the universe away. So it's like it is okay for you to make a villain movie, and you can make him somewhat of an endearing character, and you feel bad for him, but eventually be like, oh, he's a terrible person. So for the sake of that, like, the movie just seems like it's gonna try to walk this fine line of like he's kind of bad, but you kind of like him, and look, he's attractive too, so you're really gonna like him. And I mean, I don't know, man. I don't look that promising, honestly.
Yeah, when I watched the trailer, first off, it's like it tries to be like Venom in some ways. You know what I mean? Like it tries to watch the Joker movie. Nothing about the Joker, Todd Phillips's Joker. Nothing about that movie makes you be like, I want to be him, or I want to be like. Don't get me wrong, he's cool and has these cool characteristics, but never one time does Todd Phillips paint the Joker as the greatest person that's ever landed in the place of the earth. But for this, it's definitely campy, I guess, which I feel like that's all they do. Like that's all Sony's doing with their villains is be campy. Like, why not let Spider-Man take some of these villains on and battle it? Like we've had like 7 Venom movies and 7 Spider-Man movies, and never one time have these guys intertwined. And you know what I mean? Like, let's see Tom Hardy and Tom Holland on the screen together already. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different variables in play here. I don't know what this is. I mean, will I see it? Yeah, we're dumb enough to see basically everything. That's just what we do. Like, we'll review and see anything that, anything at all. Like, we're talking about movies, anything at all. You send it to us, we'll watch it. But that doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It looks, I don't even know. Like,
and if they're trying to build the Sinister Six, nobody looks at Sinister at all. And the funniest thing to me was I saw a tweet that said, did they just try to make White Panther?
Oh my God, dude!
Yo, I was rolling.
The picture comparison of the poster of what of the Black Panther poster and the Kraven the Hunter poster, I lost it. I literally lost it.
And and it's one of those things like we know like there's a picture of Kraven and that's what they modeled it after, but it's eerily similar. Y'all could have chose a different picture.
Exactly right. Exactly. Like the thing about it is we're not going to sit here and say it ripped off from here. Maybe the comic was first, right? You know what I mean? Who's to say? I don't know that. Who's to say the comic was not first or the picture was first? That's what we're saying. We're saying you could have used a better picture to make it look like exactly my boy Eminem Miller. Exactly. Like you could have used a different picture to really like hone in on. It was crazy. I don't know.
And what made the tweet worse of like the White Panther tweet was that it dropped it on Juneteenth, and it just like it looks crazy. And the whole fact that like we just watched the She-Hulk series and there's this little mixing of blood, and then you have the lion's blood mixes. I don't know, man. Like I mean, look, we try our best not to go into movies with any kind of like negative connotations, negative thoughts, but because we want it to be good, we really do. But
it's hard sometimes, man.
Yeah,
it's hard sometimes.
You can look at most of the internet. I haven't seen anybody really that's like, oh my God, that looks like it's the shit. That's gonna be my favorite movie. No one said that.
The only people that are saying that are thirsting over Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's it. Like those are the only people that are rooting for this film right now is to see Aaron Taylor, which is like some of these movies have become. It's just like, what does X, Y, and Z? It's just all because X. Like, and don't get me wrong, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's an incredible actor, but like, when are we going to start introducing? This is the biggest problem that I have with the MCU, and I even had with Secret Invasion. It's like, when are we going to get back to the roots of like, I didn't know who Chris Hemsworth really was before Thor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these people weren't actors and didn't do things, but like a lot of these guys weren't known actors. Like prior to these, like Tom Holland, who, I don't know who Tom Holland was, but it was before Spider-Man.
It was Downey's comeback, basically.
Yeah,
there's a good way. It's a good way to reintroduce somebody who you haven't seen in a while, or make somebody a star, because it is the biggest money making machine in the MCU and movies right now. So you could pull somebody off the street that has some kind of like struggle that makes them be able to take to acting and make them a star. But they're doing what other studios do, and they're like, let's take this proven person, this proven thing, and let it do what it does. But we saw that Jared Leto couldn't make it do what it does,
Well, it's like, with Superman, like everybody's like trying to do all these fan casting. He's moving on from Henry Cavill. I'm like, cool. Like, let's move on to somebody like middle of the class, B level. Like that would be fantastic. You know what I mean? I'm excited about stuff like that because it does get me excited about seeing new characters, new faces, and stuff like that. But all right, let's move on to one thing that I'm excited to talk about that you brought up this week, and let's move over to the news of the week.
All right, that news. Per Variety, I believe the article was by Clayton Davis. I'm gonna give him the credit. The Oscars have new qualifications for Best Picture, and honestly, it's probably to a lot of people about damn time. I get into a lot of these conversations with people, especially that have known me for a long time, and now that I'm in this entertainment business, they're like, "How come these movies win and I've never heard of the movie, or I've never seen the movie, or it's not attainable for me to even watch it until 6 months later?" And you know what? You got a good point, because I was the same way before getting to this world. I was like, I think it was when it may have been The Shape of Water, and I was like, I've barely heard of this movie, and then it was like all over the place. Same thing by people with Roma. If you didn't have Netflix, or you didn't, it wasn't playing in your city, and now it seems like they're making what is it? The has to play for a week
Yep.
in one of the major cities. Has to hit some bigger, like 10 bigger
Yeah,
markets.
it's expanded theatrical run of 7 days consecutive and non-consecutive in 10 of the top 50 U.S. markets, no later than 45 days after the initial release. This is starting in 2024, everybody, which is massive because like a lot of people are like, oh my God, streaming. And I understand that because I do think streaming is a big player in all of this, right? I love streaming. Streaming, I think, has opened the door for a lot of things. But to me and to a lot of people, that theatrical, seeing something on the big screen. Like I remember, like even Netflix's film, I would have loved to see like Extraction 2. Don't get me wrong, it's never going to be nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
But I would have loved to see an Extraction 2 on the big screen. It was incredible action.
It was really
you know what I mean? It was really, really good. But like, so the expanded theatrical run of 7 days means that you can't just do what they used to do. We're going to drop it in LA and New York for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then that following Friday, it's going to be available on Netflix or Apple TV or HBO Max or whatever has it. So they're really laying down the ground rules. The one that I do like is the one that like appear in December for like, for 15 minutes in LA, and then they don't do anything with it and doesn't release until like February or March. They're getting rid of that too for late in the years with expansion after January 10th, 2025. Distributors must submit release plans to the Academy before they do it for verification. I love that as well. And then like the release plans for the later in the view of films must include an expanded theatrical run prior to January 24th, 2025. And then, of course, non-USA territories release can count towards 2 of the 10 markets. So if they release it overseas, it can hit that as well. So I love that they're cracking down on this because A, it gives us an opportunity to see the big movies on the big screen. B, it doesn't let them drag their tail with the release unless obviously it's approved, and it has to be before that January. You have to be in theaters by January. You know what I mean? Like it's not, and the thing about it is what I hope this all relates to is eventually us moving back to the Oscars being in February, because I'm tired of them being in March. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, because I mean, I know like my mom, you've seen her screenings. My mom loves movies. And she even is like, there'll be a movie that's about to come out, and then she'll be like, "Oh, when is that coming out?" I'm like, "Yeah, it comes out in like February officially, but I got like a screener." And she's like, "Why is it being nominated now?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like the movie politics are weird. How they." And I know it's strategic by a film company. I get it. You're like, I want this to be seen like the most last minute in December, so it's the last thing on your brain, and you're like, "Oh, I'll click that because I thought about when we do our voting." And it's like, nah, that ain't gonna work no more, man.
I mean, if
you can't pull a licorice pizza and try to slip it in there last minute, okay?
Well, like Women Talking came out on Christmas in like 2 theaters and then didn't fully release until the end of January. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got movies like that that are just not. You got to give everybody. You've got to make the Oscars more adaptable to the general audience.
Yep.
If you want the general audience to come back and watch your programs, we've got to start nominating the films that these people are capable of seeing. You know what I mean? Like, you could probably walk down the street and I could tell you, 2021 Best Picture. You know what I mean? You had The Father, Minari, Promising Woman, Sound of Metal, Nomadland. I could guarantee you probably 1 out of 10 people have seen Nomadland. You know what I mean? Like, probably 1 out of 50 saw Mank. You know what I mean? Like that. It's just that's what they're going to have to do something. I'm glad that they are. Like even Parasite. Parasite was a phenomenon. But like you couldn't see it. Like you had to see it. Like if you like they're not releasing these things. Like we're not seeing them in Regals and AMCs and stuff like that. Like these need to be in those, not just art house fancy smancy things. They need to be worldwide so people can see these movies and give them a rooting or vested interest in watching the Oscars. You know what I mean? Like
the next step to these award shows has to be to somehow take a median score of what the audience goes to see versus what the critics rank it. Because if Fast X makes $1 billion but it's not considered like high cinema, but the fans give it an A score. And then the critics, what we should do is we rate movies to what it is, to the genre, to the material. So if we all give it a 90%, that movie should be rated for something other than technical things because people want to see this. People like perfect example, Nomadland. I remember, writing a review for it, putting it out. I sent it to my mom. She's like, "What is this movie? Where is it?" I'm like, "You might be able to see it at, an art house theater, maybe, for this specific time for like a week or two, and then
for 15 minutes."
And it's like, and especially if it's something where we write like a really good review, and it's like, I hit all the points, I hit all the right words, and then they're like, where can I see it at? I'm like, well, I saw it because I'm a critic, so I got special privileges a little bit. I don't know what to tell you. And it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. And it's why less people are tuning in. And I know people don't want to have that blockbuster conversation. I know a lot of people say, well, they're making plenty of money at the box office, so what does it matter if they get nominated for Oscars? I mean, there is blockbuster movies that are so well made. The Woman King, that should have been in the foray of things that get constantly left out. You know what I mean? So it's not just one of those things that we're randomly bringing up. But I do like the move, and I do hope that it opens the door for more people across the world to see these movies on the big screen, because a lot of them are worthy of seeing. You know what I mean? Like, we're not criticizing art house movies. We love those too. We love those a lot even. You know what I mean? Past Lives is my #1 movie of the year, but nobody can see the movie. You know what I mean? Like, people want to see movies. So people are like, when can I see it? I'm like, I don't know. Check your theater every other week for the rest of your life, and you might be able to see it. But all right. Time to move on to 2 movies that we have saw already, that one of which coming out and one that's already out. All right, we will talk about the movie that is already playing in theaters, and that was No Hard Feelings. You and I actually went and saw this one together last week. Regal did a early screening of it. Sometimes that's how we have to see it. We get excited because, we pay. I highly recommend this as a critic. Pay your hard-earned money to go see some movies sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, give back to what some of these studios do for you. But No Hard Feelings starred, obviously, Jennifer Lawrence and I already forgot that guy's name, so I'm going to pull up this name. Andrew Barth Feldman. The film was about on the brink of losing her home. Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for someone to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. The movie was R-rated, and Gene Stupnitsky is the one that wrote and directed the film. If you remember the film Good Boys from several years ago, which was hilarious. He wrote that film. So he came out with that. It has come out, and it's been, I guess, a mixed bag across the board for critics and for audiences. It did come in and make a little bit more money than I thought everybody did. It's sitting at 68% on Rotten Tomatoes with critics, and with the folks, the audiences, it is at 87%. So, Dom, give everybody your quick thoughts on the film and whether or not you recommend people checking it out.
So initially, after the credits start to roll, I thought the movie was fine. It's a fine movie. It didn't hit as hard as I believed it was going to hit, but I will give them a little bit of leeway because we're trying to get back to those kind of raunchy R-rated comedies, and in a climate where there's cancel culture, there's people getting offended by things, even if it's just something little and it's not meant to hurt anybody. It's hard to kind of walk that line and not get any trouble. So them having to do that, I think they did a pretty good job. It's kind of, to me, was kind of a mix between like a American Pie and meets like a Gen Z type of film, because it was kind of like our generation growing up as millennials. We saw all the raunchiest comedies, and that comedy meeting Gen Z and trying to like get them to laugh at the same things that we're laughing at. And I think that they play off each other really well at times. Some of the stuff is pretty funny, but it wasn't Good Boys funny. It didn't have that same effect. But essentially, a naked Jennifer Lawrence suplexing somebody in the sand is pretty funny. But yeah, there were some things that, especially because Andrew's character is supposed to be, he's the Gen Z kid, and it's exactly kind of how you would think that they would react to some of the things that she's saying, because she's like, I'm just being a person, I don't care. And it's a lot of like, I'm offended, and why would you say that? So it's poking fun at our generation. It pokes fun at the new generation. So I'd recommend it. I think it'll be good with a group of friends. By yourself, it might not hit as much, but if you have at least 2 or 3 people with you, I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, there's one scene where she goes, "Is nobody having sex anymore?" And I about died laughing. And the thing about it is, I think the biggest problem I had with this movie was it's promoted as this raunchy, crazy, over-the-top comedy. And there's aspects of that are very true. Like, I've seen a lot of like blowback on the internet about the scene on the beach where she's butt naked and suplexing somebody. And they're like, well, that's not the way, blah, blah, blah. First off, if you looked at that scene for the fact of her being naked, then you completely missed the big picture of the scene. It wasn't about her she was literally like, they stole their clothes and was running away with their clothes as they were in the water. You have to remember, at the same time, she's fighting for her life currently as well, right? Because she literally is. Like, if she doesn't close the deal with this kid, she's going to lose her house and lose this and lose a car. She can't have a car. She doesn't have a car. She can't Uber. She can't make money, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not just these people stealing her clothes, but she's on the verge of sealing the deal in the water. And then these people come across this. It's not even about her being naked. Like, sure, the her being naked adds an extra layer of funny, personally.
Yeah.
But it's hard to watch it it's hard to watch a R-rated movie after watching Joyride. Well, you know what? I haven't seen Joyride yet, so excuse me. I can't wait for it. I heard it's incredible. But like, for me, it's like, it's not what I thought it was going to be, and that's the biggest takeaway from it. It's sweet when I didn't need it to be sweet, even though if you don't promote it as this raunchy, oh my God, shock and awe comedy, if you just promote it as an R-rated comedy, I think it plays very much way better than it did. You know what I mean? I like it a lot better. I think it's funnier. Jennifer Lawrence, doesn't matter. She's a star, period. She's fantastic in this film. I do think that they found a nice little find in Andrew Barth Feldman. He's very good in it. Him and Lawrence together are fun. Yeah, go see it. Like, if you like R-rated movies, temper your expectations a little bit. But yeah, go see it for sure, because, it's Jennifer Lawrence. And
yeah, and after watching her Hot Ones episode,
oh my God, yes.
I didn't know that the film was based off an actual Craigslist ad that they saw. and was like, all right, we can use this. And I was like, holy shit, somebody that makes some of it even more crazy that there's some parents out there that are like, you know what, I gotta get my kid out of this shell. Who wants a car in exchange for my son's flowers?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah, exactly. And I saw a lot of people criticizing that aspect of it, and I'm like, touch grass. Get over yourself, guys. Like first off, it's a movie. Okay, that was like whenever we were arguing over the Little Mermaid being black. Like, guys, it's a mermaid. We're talking about this is what we're talking about, mermaid. Like, this is the stuff that we're talking about. But the aspect of things of like people are looking. That's why R-rated movies are so hard. People are looking for something in this box that you're making to criticize it. So. If we can't criticize the R-rated aspect of it, the jokes might not be offensive, but the part that's offensive is the parents put him on Craigslist to try to get him laid. Like, they're trying to open their son up, and I get it. Sure, it's not the most, First off, everybody's above age. You know what I mean? Unlike Licorice Pizza. Sorry. Oh, my bad. But yeah. All right, time to move on to a movie that I'm not going to be as nice about. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I have seen all the Indiana Jones at some point in my life. It's been a while since I've seen the Indiana Jones. I do remember the 2008 version relatively well. I didn't hate it as much as everybody on the internet hated it at the time. But I didn't have expectations going into this movie. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. I had zero. I was going into this movie like I do with every movie most of the time. I'm going to see a movie. I'm ready to just shock me, have some fun, do some action, do some Indiana Jones crazy stuff, and we'll go on with our lives. And I'll prefix with saying this. We're not going to give any spoilers. The movie's not out in theaters yet. It doesn't come out till Friday, but we won't spoil any of it. But personally, this movie, far too long. Oh my God, it felt like 5 hours long. It did. Like I looked at the time at one point, 30 minutes had passed. I could have sworn we were at least an hour into the movie. And then another time I looked down, an hour had gone by. And I'm like, this is the never-ending movie. Look, I'm not going to lie. There's certain aspects of Indiana Jones that are fun, right? Phoebe Bridgers, she's hilarious, right? You know what I mean? Like she's great in everything she does. She's hilarious. If you've never watched Fleabag, right? Fleabag. Yep. You've never watched Fleabag, watch Fleabag, please. It's one of the funniest shows that you'll watch. I can't wait for it to come back. First of all, I needed to come back. Like, please. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed her in it. I thought she's fun in the movie. Harrison Ford's Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? Like he's old, but I love him. Like he's got this spunky person. I feel like I like Harrison Ford more now than I did like 20 years ago for some reason. I think a lot of it has to do with him being on Shrinking, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later maybe. But like he's fun in this. He's perfect as Indiana Jones. But there's some good action. There's some good sequences between Harrison Ford and Phoebe Bridge. I think that they're funny together. Their dynamic is great. But there's one glaring hole in this movie that is so bad that it made me want to poke my eyes out. I don't want to talk about it because apparently it's like partially a spoiler, but towards the end of the movie. But like, it's one of the biggest, most confusing plot things that I've ever seen. Not ever, but maybe in the last few weeks anyway. That I've seen in a movie. It makes no sense at all. I don't look. If you are, this is what I wrote in my review. If you are a fan of Indiana Jones, go see the movie. You're going to love it probably. You might love the nostalgia. You might love Harrison Ford. You might love all the elements behind it. There's Easter eggs back to the other characters and stuff like that. You're probably going to love it if you're a general audience member. If you don't like Indiana Jones or you're just thinking maybe I'll wait to see this on Disney Plus or whatever it is. If you're teeter-tottering on the line, don't go see it. If you're a fan of Indiana Jones, you'll probably love it. Dom, what do you think, man?
My first issue with any movie, any action movie, or any movie with action, should I say, that involves a person over the age of 80 beating up 30 and 40-year-olds. It's not happening, man. Like, unless this 80, 90-year-old is the build of The Rock or something, you're not putting me on the ground. You better be a master in some kind of martial law because it's not happening, Sifu, okay? That is my first beef with the movie. It's just like he's like 90 or 80 some. I don't know. I just know if Harrison Ford punched me in the chest, he'd probably break his own hand before he hurts me. I just don't get it. But I feel the same way. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, you're gonna love the movie. I mean, that it's for you. It's made for you. It's supposed to be this perfect send off, and if you're a huge fan, it's you're gonna get that feeling. But for me, like I was never a huge Indiana Jones fan. At the time, it was cool, but like I feel like this type of story, it just doesn't hit the same in today's time. With it just, I mean, we've seen too much with the Marvels, the DCs, the Fast, the John Wick, all these type of things, and then I'm supposed to go back to like somebody fighting with a whip and a hat. I don't know, man. Like, and I feel like the Nazis get too much shine in this movie. Like, I see too many Nazis. I don't need to see Nazis for that long in 2023. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the movie for me, it starts and stops too many times.
Oh my
so
god!
so it does feel Frankensteinish. It kind of feels like it was pieced together. Phoebe's great. Phoebe is my favorite part. It's just really hard to sit through that and say like, yeah, that was fucking fantastic.
That was a banger, baby.
Because it wasn't. I kind of left like, oh man, like, is there an end credit scene? No, because it didn't give me that satisfaction that it might give others. I didn't feel like this was a send out. I felt like he's gonna sit there and they're gonna make another one. That's what I feel like. I honestly felt like they're gonna make another one. And
exactly.
That's supposed to feel that way. No. I mean, there were some cool things. That there was a cool Indiana Jones hunts and treks and climbs, and there is some like old man jokes. There wasn't enough though.
No, there should have been a whole bunch more.
And I like the kid that was with Phoebe in the movie. I thought he was really cool. I like he's a good added to the little party, but. Yeah, man. It's one of those movies that like what was the other one? There was another movie that was hailed as supposed to be this huge, big blockbuster thing, and then we watched it, and I was like, oh, yep. I don't think my stepson will like this. You know, I think I told him afterwards. I was like, yeah, you don't want to see it. he wasn't a fan of Elemental. You're definitely not gonna be a fan of Indiana Jones, so we'll pass on that one. Yeah, normally I go take the family, you know, after we see a screening. When it comes out, I'll go take them. This is not one I'm going to take them to.
No, it's far too long. It's far too long. Like for no reason at all. Like I don't understand. I don't understand what this was like. Why it was 2.5, hours long. They made no sense to me. Like I'm looking back at some of the movies that are recently like blockbuster. Like, and that's the thing that I forgot to mention. Blockbuster movies are supposed to be these larger than life movies. You know what I mean? Like, and it tries way too hard to have so much heart in it that I don't understand. I don't know. It's crazy. I've seen people on Twitter talk about it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So
they also said The Flash was the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Oh my god!
Wrong.
And that's coming from people that liked Flash. Like we liked the Flash. Like, we're not saying the Flash was a bad movie, but
it ain't the greatest of all time.
Look, greatest of all time, even greatest DC. Like you have to compete with like 3 Christopher Nolan movies right off the bat. Plus, you have to compete with if we throw the Joker in there, do we keep? Does that count? Like what are we greatest?
And I just rewatched Flashpoint Paradox today, the animated movie that it's kind of based off of. So much better. There's so much things that they could have done in that fucking movie that they didn't do, and part of it is just all the damn drama they have going on over at Warner Brothers. Like they have to get their shit together because they're like fucking themselves over.
Yeah, I need this hard reset. Like, I really wish that they would just bring out Aquaman. First off, the first one's one of the worst comic book movies ever made. Okay, let's throw it out there. Worst comic book movies ever. By the way, if you haven't seen The Flash, use the coupon code popcorn Popcorn People podcast at Fandango. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can get tickets, buy one get one 50% off right now, or buy one get one free right now at Fandango or something like that. So, but enough about The Flash. I've talked about that movie for the rest of my life. I don't need to talk about it anymore. Let's talk about some movies and TV shows that we want to recommend to these individuals.
Ooh, recommendations. Look, I've talked about this movie on another show before. I don't think it's getting talked about enough. And, with it being Pride Month, I feel like it's, apropos of me to mention the movie. And the movie is Monica. It's got Trace Lysette. And this is some of the best cinematography I've seen all year long. It's one of the, there's certain movies that I watch, and afterwards I'll say, like, oh man, the cinematography was really good. And it's usually because there's sweeping and there's, a lot of open space, and the scenery's great. This one wasn't that. It was the camera was telling a story while there was a story going on, and it's phenomenal how it played out. And then for the show recommendation, if no one has watched the show Primo on Freevee, or watch it on Prime, whichever one. I think they're owned by both owned by Amazon. But Primo is fire. It is a San Antonio teenager, single mom. He's got 5 uncles who are always at his house, kind of trying to steer him through his life. It's like a coming of age series. The mom, I don't know. I'm sure you've all seen Brink. The girl from Brink, she's the mom. I can't remember her name right now. But he's trying to navigate whether or not he wants to go to college. His life with his mom, which uncle he kind of wants to emulate, because he is kind of this anxious teenager who doesn't know which way is up. And then, of course, there's a love interest in the show, and that plays a lot better than I thought it was going to play out. It's 8 episodes. They're all about 30 minutes each, so you can watch it in one sitting. And I don't know what took so long for a lot of the Latin shows to come out, but they are hitting, and they're hitting hard right now. The Primo, this fool, even Lopez on Lopez is really funny. So check out Primo.
You've got me. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard some good things, so now I'm definitely gonna. And the thing about it is, what I love. Look, my favorite thing that you said about the entire thing, obviously outside of the good stuff about the show, is you said 8 episodes, 30 minutes an episode. That's it. It's such an easy binge. You know what I mean? You sit down and boom, you're done. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's 1, 2, 3, knock out the door. I love binges like that. All right, for my recommendation, I'm gonna talk about a movie that I mentioned earlier. It's supposed to release wide this Friday, and that is Past Lives. It's my number 1 movie of the year. I find it hard pressed to find many films that I'm going to watch as good as this one. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be my number 1 at the end of the year. There's still 6 more months of films to come out. So when people say there's nothing going to top this, I'm I'm going to watch 100 more movies. I watched 100 and some movies the first 6 months of the year. I'm pretty sure there's going to be an opportunity for a film to pass this. But Celine Song's written and feature film directorial debut is just, it's powerful. It's moving. It's this honest depiction of dealing with those kind of hard cards you're dealt while figuring out if we're playing the right hands. You know what I mean? About relationships. Are we with the right person? Is the person we're with the right person? It's such a beautiful film. It's the first film of 2023 that I gave 5 stars. Only movie of 2023 that I've given 5 stars to so far. Greta Lee, Tia Yao, and John Magaro give top-notch performances. It's just that film. I can't wait. It's literally something that I have thought about. I've thought about this movie almost every single day since I've seen it. And when you watch a movie and it does that to you, you know it has a lasting impact on you. I love it so much. If you have the opportunity to see this movie, I'm begging you to see this movie. It's incredible. On the TV side of things, there is a new show coming out on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I'm verifying Wednesday. This Wednesday, Apple TV, Idris Elba, Hijack. Holy cow. Okay, first off, what I loved about the show, it's a 7-hour flight. A plane from Dubai to London is hijacked over a 7-hour flight while authorities on the ground scramble for answers. And Idris Elba plays Sam Nelson, who is a negotiator, and he does everything in his power to really just kind of, get everything back on board with the plane, land it safely, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things I loved about the show is 7-hour flight, 7 episodes, guys. So each hour is depicted of what is happening on the plane itself. You know what I mean? So it's like 1 hour per episode to 1 hour for each thing that happens on this flight. It's one of those edgy. It's about 50 minutes an episode. Now, honestly, I hate to bear the bearer of bad news. The first 2 episodes do drop on Wednesday, and then you have to watch it weekly for until the second. So I want to apologize in advance for that. But I watched all 7 episodes in like 2 days. I had so many other things I needed to watch, but I watched the pilot and then I watched the second episode. I was like, I kept on putting next. I just kept on watching it. It's so good. Like Elba is so good in it. Like the writing's really good. Very much a kind of edgier seat thriller style show that I loved quite a bit. So Hijack, Apple TV Plus, my personal pick for the favorite platform for TV shows each and every week. So I love Apple TV. I think
they're definitely quality over quantity over at Apple TV Plus, and they don't miss very often. No. You can argue episodes here and there, but most overall they're serious. I mean,
bangers. They're bangers, man. Yeah, it's bangers. Like I looked over it one day, and there's a few that I haven't watched yet. I haven't watched Severance. I know everybody tells me I need to watch Severance. I haven't had a chance to watch that one yet.
I haven't either.
There's a couple other ones that I haven't seen, but a lot of what I've seen of their shows, love. Shrinking this year came out, personal favorite of the year. Obviously, if you're a fan of The Bear, all 10 just dropped on Thursday. One of my favorite shows on TV. So damn good.
I still need to. No, I haven't seen the new season yet, and I still need to watch Past Lives. Like, I remember watching the trailer of Past Lives. I was like, I have to be in the right headspace to watch this movie.
Oh, man. I cried like a little baby. I mean, that movie fucked me. I'm not going to lie, guys. It's not an easy watch. You know what I mean? Because, like, it takes your mind in places. The writing is so good. That's when you know you have a great film. The movie takes your mind into places where maybe you didn't even think that you could explore. You know what I mean? Like I agree that I think Greta Lee's gives best performance. 100% agree with you. And I'm just, it is. I'm telling you, dude. I've literally thought about the movie every day. There's a couple quotes from the movie that I've thought about every single day. I'm just like, man, it's. I don't know, man. I could talk about this movie for hours and hours, and then it comes out this week. I'm going to do everything I can to see it again because it's, I don't know. It's that movie for me. Like it's that movie for me this year. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I would find it hard pressed. It doesn't land in my top 10 by the end of the year.
Didn't A24 put it out, didn't they?
Yeah, A24 did. Yeah.
Look, I don't know who is in charge over there.
Bangers.
But geez, man, like I don't know. I mean, I guess that's from what I've read, the reason why people like working with them so much is because they give all the creative license to the creators. And that's why we get movies like that. So
yep. I love it. Again, please see that movie if you have an opportunity to. It's such a great film. All right. Well, Dom, that wraps it up for our first episode here. Give everybody a plug on your social media and
so Twitter, which I'm not into the Twitter beefing. So like, if you're going to come talk to me on some real shit, you're going to have to get into the DMs, which is why I do a lot of my more like actual conversations with people. But it's at @king_fish. I'm more active on Instagram, which is at the Dom Fisher, which is more, it's on my stories. I don't really post on my feed. I'm a stories person. And then you can catch all my reviews on geekvibesnation.com and our video reviews on our TikTok, which is Geek Vibes Nation. And I need to start capitalizing off this little wave we got going, but videos are hard as shit to make, and I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, these people, it's funny to me, these people just pump out these videos so much. I'm like, do you have a life outside of this?
Yeah,
Because I
shit.
want to know, because sometimes I'm trying to make videos and like, we're squeezing this podcast in. I'm just going to clip stuff out of this and start posting on social media. That's it. It's much easier to do it that way.
Yep.
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at @RickyVlair_, same across the board. Yeah, this was fun. This is exciting. We'll be back same time next week. I have no clue what we're going to talk about quite yet next week. We agreed that we're going to talk throughout the week. We'll text each other ideas of what we're going to talk about. So I'm excited to bring more to you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week.
Boom, boom, boom.